Hi, my name is Alexis Hamilton, and I'm a postdoctoral associate at Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, and I'm working on the contact team, focusing on Objective 7 outcomes. So this is going to be a summary of the research presented as a poster at the International Association for Food Protection, or IAFP's, 2022 annual meeting entitled Analyzing Virtual Platform Effectiveness to Interact with Produce Safety Stakeholders. So as food safety education, outreach, and extension activities are increasingly transitioned to virtual forums, an emphasis has been placed on converting some of our existing programs that are maybe in-person presentations into web-based equivalent programs like an online webinar. However, stakeholders are often unwilling to commit to extended periods on these virtual platforms and instead prefer shorter delivery methods. So this study analyzed virtual methods of content delivery, engagement, interest, and content value with stakeholders in the fresh produce industry through the social media profile Produce Safety Science. A total of 138 social media posts and captions were shared on Instagram and Twitter as 5 distinct post types or models. Additionally, a 1.5-hour webinar series that was composed of 1 hour of prepared content and 30 minutes of open Q&A with attendees across 7 produce safety topics was organized and disseminated through the Zoom platform. Analytics data were collected using free or open access analytics software available through each platform. Engagement, Twitter, and content value were assessed using comparable metrics across each platform as well. Engagement with content was evaluated by calculating and comparing engagement rate on Instagram and Twitter and attendance rate on Zoom. Interest in content was evaluated by comparing the number of likes by post type on Instagram and Twitter and registration numbers on Zoom. Content value was assessed as number of shares, retweets, and survey responses on Instagram, Twitter, and Zoom respectively. Differences in engagement, interest, and content value were evaluated using the Kruskal-Wallis test and Dunn's test for multiple comparisons. Here you will see a table representing mean engagement, interest, and content value data across each of 5 post types to evaluate the effectiveness of the social media campaign for Produce Safety Science on Twitter. In the first column, you'll see our 3 metrics of interest. Each superscripted number provides information about how the related data were calculated and the units they are represented in. The next 5 columns show the analytics data broken down into each of our metrics by tweet type. For each, you'll see the mean data point plus or minus the standard deviation of our data set. The capital letters following show the results of the multiple comparisons testing, with different letters denoting significant differences within a row. If we look at the first row, you'll see that tweet type did not significantly impact engagement with stakeholders. However, posts introducing team members provided higher interest to stakeholders than posts involving educational information or that highlighted free and open access resources. And then when it comes to content value, stakeholders valued advertising posts significantly more than publication or research posts. If we look at data from our webinars, the figure on the left shows the distribution of webinar viewers across the United States. The darker the color, the more viewers per state. You can see that we've had viewers in almost every U.S. state across 27 other countries that are not shown on this map. So hosting these webinars has enabled us to reach a wider audience than any one intrastate or regional in-person workshop would have allowed us to. On the right side of the slide, you'll see a Sankey chart displaying the results from the post-webinar survey after each of our 7 webinars. Each of these surveys was voluntarily filled out by attendees who were asked to rate the webinar overall, webinar organization, speaker or panel performance, and the question and answer period on a 5-point Likert scale. The question represents the node on the left, and the answers to those questions flow to their appropriate node or score on the right. The width of each flow depicts the quantity of responses from each question on the left to the appropriate ranking on the right. You'll see that of the 3,874 rankings, approximately 94% of them are either excellent or very good, suggesting that this approach to webinar development and organization and the topic areas were relevant and valued by stakeholders. The study has highlighted that virtual platforms are effective for advertising content. The webinars have also enabled us to successfully reach a wider audience than any one intrastate or even regional in-person workshop would have allowed us to in the same time frame across this range of topics. We also found that these shorter webinars, so this 1.5-hour format with 30 minutes of Q&A, that are organized in this way, were well received by our stakeholders in the fresh produce industry. Our findings show that virtual platforms can be effective at disseminating produce safety content to stakeholders, but that appropriate use of content type and format are integral to this success. This work is supported by a specialty crops research initiative from the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this presentation are those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the view of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. If you want to learn more about this or other contact projects, please visit our website at the link listed in the slide. Thank you so much for listening, and please reach out to us on social media at the handle PS_SCI with any questions.